Saturday, December 26th, the moon will be transitioning out of Taurus, moving into Gemini. So the moon is going to be void of course from about, let's say 7:30-ish a.m. to about 7:30 p.m. So the whole day is going to be a little bit unstable. And I know you're saying, oh Lord, the energies that you're talking about this week, like we're all going to be just messes and wrecks. And you know what? We might just be. But let me remind you, we have to break down before we break through. The worst is definitely over. But just like everything, especially when we're talking about like birthing pains, you know, the last year, 2020, has been about labor. It has been intense. We've been pushing, we've been screaming, we've been sweating, we've been crying. But having that Saturn and Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, that is literally the light at the end of the tunnel. That, you know, that baby just crowned and is just popped out and is breathing brand new air for the first time. And, you know, as mothers just giving birth, we're looking at our children scared and happy and sad at the same time and in pain and numb. We're feeling all these conflicting thoughts, and we're really embarking on a brand new chapter. So as a collective, that is what we're currently going through. The beginning stages of any cycle are never pleasant. Okay. So for us to just think that, oh, well, we're moving into 2021, we're moving into, you know, the closer stages of the new age of Aquarius, like, you know, all the pain and all the trauma and all the suffering, that's just going to disappear overnight. No, do not be fooled. Okay. Do not be fooled. We are still in for some very heavy adjustment periods. We are still kind of reeling from those birthing pains. We have a lot of changes to make. We are going to see a lighter, fresher, more optimistic energy moving forward because we are focused on the future. We are focused on busting free from the pain, from the suffering, from the restraints of what this last decade has all been about. But nonetheless, we do still have some low lows and some high highs. But now we're acting as the observer. So now we can kind of see where it is that we need to maintain our balance so that we're not feeling those drastic pulls from one extreme to the other. Speaking of those, you know, extremes from one to the other, the moon moving out of Taurus and into Gemini is a pretty dramatic feeling all in itself. We're going from a very heavy earth sign in Taurus, being very grounded, being very focused on our physical realms and our environments and our relationships and everything that makes us us, to the mental plane of Gemini, where we get split down the middle. Gemini is represented by the twins and having very different thoughts. That is extreme, and that is duality at its best. So we're being kind of torn out of what has been a very heightened and emotional state over these last couple of days. Really, we're talking about weeks of intense emotional states here. But now we're going to be moving into the mental plane where we're going to be sorting things out. Now we're seeing the pros and the cons. Now we're seeing what really needs to be left behind and what it is we want to move towards. We're really gauging our realms from a different perspective. And now that, you know, we have all of this air energy built up in the elemental equation of what we're going through, having the moon move into Gemini, adding to that airiness, our mental planes are going to be just on fire. Like we're going to be just processing information and having aha moments and expanding our minds and expanding our awarenesses to new levels that we haven't experienced before. So this is likely going to feel like a confusing day, you know, with the moon being void, of course, all day. That does kind of scream emotional and mental, like instability anyways. The sun is actually going to be squaring Chiron, which it does kind of put a damper on things. Like we're lacking confidence. We're not so, you know, optimistic. We do see our wounds very clearly from the days previous and being kind of, you know, raw and vulnerable. We do have the desire to grow and heal past this situation because we don't want to feel like this anymore. But, you know, we're definitely in our ego wounds anytime Chiron's coming up. And of course, the sun is illuminating that, putting a bright light on our ego wounds, our identity wounds, the wounds that we have been exposed to over this last week of adjusting to these new energies. We have a lot going on. We're trying to process everything in our heart space, in our mental space. We have a lot to think about. We have a lot to process. There are such great changes going on in our realities right now. It would be crazy for us to think that we weren't going to be affected one way or the other. Other than the sun making a square with Chiron, really exposing, that lack of mind frame, that fear mind frame, insecurities, vulnerabilities, especially where our egos and identities are concerned. Outside of that, I would almost declare this a moon day. The moon makes an aspect with Mercury. It makes an aspect with Pluto. We're talking Mars in the mix here. We're talking Neptune in the mix. And then trining with Saturn and Jupiter at the end of the day. And again, this is the first time with the moon now in Gemini. This is the first time that it's interacting with Jupiter and Saturn now in Aquarius. So it's all that air energy, all of this futuristic thinking, all of this processing going on that really is going to be a heavy weight in our mental plane. So again, likely highly confusing day. It is up to us to really do the grounding practices that we need to do in order to stay focused, one task at a time, one thought at a time, one feeling at a time, and recognize how it is that we're integrating that into our experience, into our consciousness, into our awareness. So that is going to wrap our week up. And you know what? It has been a long energy forecast these last couple of weeks because there's a lot going on. And I want us all to be so familiar with what it is that we can expect from the days to come so that we are able to process it in a healthy way and that we don't lose ourselves and that we don't cause more anxiety and confusion than needed. Because, truth be told, the astrology is doing enough to us already. We don't have to make things more complicated. Life is complicated enough. We don't have to make things harder for ourselves. That's why I love astrology, because it does give you a heads up on the patterns and the energy and the systems at play, the cycles at play, so that we have a heads up. We can plan for it. We can have an awareness. We can do something about it. And if nothing else, we can just step back and recognize that we don't have to make life harder than it actually is. So that is your energy forecast for Sunday, December 20th to Saturday, December 26th. It is quite a week. And again, I send all of my love out there to you, wherever it is that you're tuning in from in the world. I want to thank you for your love and support. I want to wish you and your family the happiest of holiday seasons, regardless of what you're doing, regardless of how it's different, regardless of what it is that you're celebrating, doesn't matter. I send you love in every single situation and aspect that you could find yourself in. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in once again to your energy forecast. I will be back next Sunday with your last energy forecast that will take us into the brand new year. So until then, have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful time, whatever it is that you're doing and whoever it is that you're doing it with. And if nothing else, look for the silver linings. There's a lot of beauty in those silver linings. We always can adapt and adopt the attitude of gratitude. And there's no better week to put that in practice than this one. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to your energy forecast. I hope you have a beautiful week and we'll talk to you soon.